Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I am a network engineer.
And together we're Tabletop Coffee.
Yep, where we are bold and never, ever bitter.
And tonight we're talking about you may have to lower those expectations. Stay tuned and we'll talk about it. A few days ago, I ran into a guy that I hadn't seen for many years, Preston Davidson.
Oh,
He and I
okay.
attended a church, same church many years ago, and we would have kind of a Sunday morning relationship, where you just kind of see one another and greet one another and talk to one another, and
Yeah,
it's pleasant, but it really hasn't gone any further than that.
right.
And Lynchburg has 1 degree of separation, right?
Yes, it does. It sure
You're
does.
forever running into somebody that knows somebody, and he and I ran into one another, and then I received a Facebook message from him that said, "Hey, let's get together, let's chat." He says his words were, "Can I pay you for an hour of your time, or can we have lunch?" I said, "Lunch sounds great."
Right.
So I made a reservation. He said, "You tell me where. I'll be there. I eat anything, and my treat." So I'm like, "Oh, good. Hey, lunch on Preston." So I called Isabella's and made lunch for us, and we had lunch yesterday.
Okay.
And it was this really cool thing where we sat down, and he says, "I just want to brain dump on you," and he just begins to share. And he reaches down and he picks up. We're sitting at Isabella's for lunch, right?
Right.
People all over the place, waitress coming in and out. It's going to help her
Sure.
taking her order. And he reaches down and he picks up his fork and his knife, and he holds them like this. And he says, "I've been listening to some YouTube stuff. I've been listening to some podcasts." And he said, "This one particular guy says it's like this." Now, I don't know if the guy on YouTube or the podcast was actually holding silverware, but this is what Preston used as we're sitting in Isabella's.
Hey, it works.
It does. And he says, it's like this. He says, "Over here is where I am.
Okay.
And this axis represents where I tell myself I should be. And
Right.
from here to here is my degree of misery."
Oh,
And he and I began to talk about this, and it
Okay.
was really registering with me. And he has no idea that we're talking about this, but I thought it was a great thing
it
that
really
here's where
is.
I am, and here's where I tell myself that I need to be, should be, ought to be. This is what I ought to be doing over here, and the degree from here to here is my misery.
That's right. Trying to get from here to here, and there's so many obstacles and different things that get in your way or keep you from getting there, and it's hard to bridge that gap.
So yeah, I guess the question is, how do I decrease my misery?
Okay.
Or how do I bring in fulfillment into my life? And I think the answer oftentimes is,
Close the gap some.
close the gap. And so what am I going to do to close that gap?
Okay, kind of like baby steps.
Well, yeah, I think definitely baby steps. Setting small, observable goals. What is it that I'm going to do? What is it that I'm going to do next?
Right.
Or one of the other things is maybe I need to lower the expectations for myself. Maybe I need to change what it is that I think I should be doing. And you and I will start to record, and I said, "Oh, one more
Right.
thing I got to go get."
Okay.
I keep this thing in my office, and at certain times when I'm doing individual coaching with people, from Dr. David Burns, and I won't read the whole thing, but one of the things on here says that if you really want to achieve that for which you're looking, you may have to settle for far less than you were hoping for. You may have to drastically lower your standards and expectations for yourself.
That falls right in line with what we're talking about.
Yeah, it really does. So am I setting my expectations way too high?
Right.
If so, I'm going to have to lower those, because if not, my misery is going to continue to be way high.
Okay.
And then if I decide to not lower this, but to keep it wide,
Right.
then I have to begin to do the baby step. What is it I'm going to do next? And then what am I going to do next? And what am I going to do next?
Right.
The other thing that Preston and I were talking about is building in this skin on skin relationship with a
Okay.
person or
Right.
persons in your life
Yes.
who will help you to be able to get to those places.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
Right.
Yeah, it works good for us,
Oh, it does. Yeah.
because I know having Chuck in my life, I hope it's the other way around as well, but
Everybody needs more Chuck in their life.
everybody needs a Chuck. That's true. But being able to talk through different things and here's where I think I should be, and there are a number of times where Chuck will say, well, maybe you need to look at making this step first. And it helps me to gauge things a little bit better and realize, wow, I am really shooting way over here for a mark that is going to take some time if I even want to get there. But I can make changes, small changes along the way to get where I need to be and be okay because I've made this small change.
It happened for me yesterday. You and I have been talking for a long time, privately and on YouTube,
Yes.
about the need to go from 1.0 to 2.0.
Yeah,
And
that's
one of the
right.
things that we have to do to get there is that you and I have to work less hard and less long
Mm-hmm.
and get other people to do stuff that we could do.
Yeah.
And last week, I decided that one of the things that I was going to do was going to have a meeting with somebody to begin to take care of regular maintenance stuff on this 11,000 square foot building.
Right.
And so I thought, one thing I'm going to do last week, I dug into my emails that I've been saving and I reached out to a guy who was going to take care of the handyman services and repairs for our building.
Yeah.
We scheduled a meeting, he rescheduled. We finally had a meeting yesterday about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then I walk into the kitchen today, and there he and his team are on their ladders outside caulking the window.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have happened had I not made it a priority to make the text, to make the email, however I did it. I can't remember for sure, to set up the meeting and to get this done so that I can have somebody to call to take care of these things that I don't want to do and need not to be doing.
Right.
So you've got to be very specific about what it is that you want to do. Or if you don't, you're going to be continuing to do this. Here's where I am, here's where I want to be, and here's my misery.
Oh, yeah. And I just had a story similar to this with trees in my yard. Last year I had about 40 trees cut out.
Yeah.
And now I have some more trees that are starting to lean because those trees were removed. And they're all pines that I'm getting removed. And I know that the 10 or 11 trees that I've got, I can cut down
You could
all
do
of
it.
them, but probably one scares me, but I'd probably tackle it anyway. But I decided, no, I'm not going to do it. That would be 1.0 for me. I need to get somebody out there to take these trees out. So I made the call.
You did.
I did. I made the call. So he hasn't come out yet, but I'm waiting for him. He should be out supposedly this week. So he can take out all the trees. And I'm ready to just do it. And I'm excited about it because that is the step in the right direction.
Yeah. So you could work harder, work longer, which is what you've always done.
Yes.
You could go out and cut those trees, cut them up, carry them off yourself. But if you do that, is that going to make your misery wider or smaller?
That would definitely make my misery wider.
Much wider.
Yeah, much
So
wider.
you put the time and the energy and the effort in to continue to contact somebody so that they would come out and do it.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think that's the take home. So I tell you what, if you would, get 2 utensils out and look at them and say, what is it? Well, this is where I am, and this is where I really want to be, and what's my degree of misery? And do I want to make
Right.
that smaller, or do I want to keep it the same? And then begin to ask yourself, what's the next thing, the very next thing or two that I need to do
Right.
in order to make that gap smaller? And write that in the comments down below. Tell us what it is you're doing. We would really love to hear that.
We would love to hear from you about that.
And if you would, please subscribe, because Keith, as always, would really appreciate that.
Always. And ding that bell so you're notified of upcoming episodes.
Make sure to like it.
Yep. Share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.